Have you ever stopped to think that your clothes might be saying things about you, things you'd never say out loud? As we grow older, what we wear carries more meaning. It's not about fashion anymore. It's about dignity, self-respect, and how we choose to show up in the world. Sometimes, without realizing it, we put on things that quietly suggest we've stopped caring, or that we've lost pride in ourselves. But that's not who we are. This video is for anyone who still values showing up with grace. We'll share 8 things older adults should avoid wearing, not because they're out of style but because they send the wrong message. These are simple changes, but they can make a world of difference in how others see you, and more importantly, in how you feel about yourself. Because aging with confidence isn't about impressing anyone. It's about honoring who you are and dressing like you still believe in your worth. Let's take that step together. Number 1. Worn out shoes. When the foundation fades. You can tell a great deal about a person by looking at their shoes. It might sound old-fashioned, but there's a timeless truth in it. Scuffed soles, peeling edges, cracked leather. They speak. And sometimes they speak louder than anything you say with your voice. As we get older, every detail begins to matter more. Not because we're trying to impress, but because those little details become part of our story. And shoes? They quietly reflect just how much we still care about ourselves. Imagine Arthur and Henry, both 81, both enjoying the freedom of retirement. Arthur steps out in shoes that are simple but clean, well-kept, clearly chosen with thought. Henry? His sneakers are worn thin, the laces frayed, the soles flat from years of wear. Now, Henry might think no one notices, but they do. People always do. And it's not about vanity. It's about presence. Worn-out shoes don't just suggest you've stopped noticing the details. They whisper that maybe you've stopped showing up for yourself. And that perception, it affects more than how others see you. It changes how you feel when you walk out the door. Because when your shoes are falling apart, something inside begins to feel a little worn too. But here's the good news. You don't need to spend a fortune. What you need is intention. Stick to timeless, well-made, comfortable footwear. Choose pairs that support your body and your style. Leather or suede. Keep them polished. Sneakers or loafers. Make sure they're clean and intact. And when they've served their time, honor them and let them go. And if tying laces or pulling on stiff shoes has become a challenge, know that you're not alone. Thankfully, there are now slip-on designs that are both supportive and stylish. Options that respect both your mobility and your sense of self. Let's not forget safety either. Shoes with worn-out soles can become dangerous. One slip can mean a broken bone, and at our age that's no small matter. But the real message here is deeper. Wearing clean, sturdy, well-cared-for shoes does more than protect your feet. It grounds you. It says, I'm still standing. I still care. I'm still part of this world. And that simple, daily act of attention, it brings confidence back into your step, one stride at a time. Number 2. Cheap-looking fabrics. The message you never meant to send. Not all fabrics are created equal. And as we grow older, that truth becomes even more apparent, because what we wear starts to speak louder than we do. The texture, the weight, the way a fabric drapes or reflects light, it all tells a story. And sometimes, without realizing it, we let that story say something we'd never say ourselves. Cheap-looking fabrics, those that shine too much, cling too tightly, or wrinkle the moment we sit down, can quietly undermine our dignity. They may be easy to find or simple to wash, but they often look disposable. And when our clothing looks disposable, it sends the message that we've stopped investing in ourselves. But you and I both know, you haven't. Let me paint you a picture. 2 women, Gloria and Doris, both in their mid-70s, are meeting friends for a simple lunch at the community center. Gloria arrives in a softly structured cotton blouse, a piece that breathes, moves with her, and gives shape without being stiff. There's ease in the way she wears it. It says, I care about myself. Doris, on the other hand, wears a synthetic top that gleams unnaturally under the light. Every fold, every crease from the hanger is on display. The fabric clings and shifts awkwardly as she moves, drawing attention to areas she'd rather not highlight. Even though her top may be newer, or even more expensive, it tells a different story. One of haste, not care. You see, some synthetic fabrics promise convenience but deliver discomfort. They may wrinkle fast, catch the light in all the wrong ways, or cling to places we'd rather they didn't. They create noise in the way we present ourselves, distracting from the quiet grace we've earned over a lifetime. At our age, comfort matters, but so does dignity. And no, elegance isn't about being fancy or luxurious. Elegance is simply about honoring the body that has carried us through so much. It's about choosing fabrics that fall gently, breathe easily, and hold their shape, not because we need to impress anyone, but because we still respect ourselves. Natural fibers like cotton, linen, or soft bamboo knits often wear beautifully over time. They feel good on the skin, they move gracefully, and they signal quiet quality. You don't have to toss everything that's synthetic, but be discerning. Hold the fabric up to the light. Run your fingers along the seams. Ask yourself, does this garment honor me? Because here's the thing, people might not always notice when you wear something well made, but they always notice when you don't. And it's not about chasing fashion. It's about refusing to look like you've stopped trying. You haven't stopped caring. So don't let your clothes tell the world that you have. If this message speaks to you, if you've ever looked in the mirror and thought, I want to show the world the real me without shouting, then this journey is for you. Comment number 2 below if this point resonated with you. I'd love to know you're still with me, and I always enjoy reading your reflections. And if you haven't already, I invite you to subscribe and turn on notifications. That way you won't miss the next chapters in this gentle exploration of living and dressing with dignity, confidence, and quiet pride. Your presence here matters. Your support allows us to keep creating thoughtful, respectful content, tailored for those of us who know that aging is not about fading, but about refining. Let's move on to the next insight together. Number 3. Ill-fitting clothes. When the fit tells the wrong story. Few things can quietly sabotage your presence more than clothing that doesn't fit. Not bad color. Not even outdated style. But fit? Fit is everything. Whether it's too loose or too tight, clothing that doesn't suit your current shape sends a message. A message that whispers, I've stopped paying attention. And often that whisper echoes louder than we intend. Picture this. 2 men, both 76, both heading to a family dinner. One walks in wearing a shirt that billows around his frame like a curtain, with trousers that pool at his shoes. He seems to shrink into the background, not by personality but by fabric. The other wears a simple button-up, one that rests naturally on his shoulders, paired with trousers that fall just right. Neither outfit is expensive, but the difference is striking. Their clothes speak before they do. And what they say makes all the difference. Baggy clothes can make it seem like you're hiding, or worse, like you've quietly given up. On the other end, tight clothes can suggest you're clinging to a past that's already said goodbye. Neither honors the person you are right now. There's deep dignity in dressing for the body you have today, not the one you had at 40 or even the one you hoped you'd keep at 60. This isn't about fashion. It's about self-respect. Tailoring doesn't require designer labels or fancy boutiques. It simply means knowing your shape, being honest with it, and choosing clothes that follow your natural lines gently, without pulling, gaping, or overwhelming. And if your body has changed recently, whether through weight loss, illness, or simply the natural rhythm of aging, it's time to revisit your wardrobe. Holding on to old clothes that no longer fit isn't just a style issue. It's an emotional one. It's like holding on to old versions of yourself that no longer serve your spirit. And you deserve better. Because here's the quiet truth. When your clothes fit you well, something in you shifts. You stand taller. You move more freely. You speak with more calm certainty. And people respond. Even if they don't realize why, they notice. And more often than not, they treat you with greater respect. Because whether we like it or not, the world sees your clothing before it hears your words. So let your clothes tell the story of someone who still cares deeply about themselves, about life, and about how they show up in it. Number 4. Dressing for the past, not the present. There's something deeply human about holding on to the past. A favorite dress from your 50s. A blazer from your career days. A pair of jeans that once fit just right. These items carry memories. They remind us of who we were. And in many ways they're comforting. But if we're not careful, they can quietly keep us from embracing who we are now. There's a fine line between nostalgia and stagnation. And dressing for a time that's no longer yours can make it harder to live fully in the one that is. Take Margaret and Elaine, both in their late 70s. Margaret wears a soft, updated sweater with modern tailoring and a necklace that catches just the right amount of light. She looks grounded, present. Elaine, meanwhile, arrives in a blazer with wide shoulder pads and a skirt from decades past. It's clean, it's well kept, but it tells a story that no longer reflects the woman she's become. Now, there's nothing wrong with vintage or classic style. But there is something wrong when your wardrobe becomes a museum of who you used to be. You're still evolving, still growing, still worthy of clothing that reflects the richness and relevance of your life today. And here's the thing, dressing for the present doesn't mean losing your history. It means honoring your past without living in it. It means choosing silhouettes that fit your body today, colors that reflect your energy now, textures that feel good on the skin you live in at this stage of life. Because when you dress for who you are right now, something powerful happens. You give yourself permission to take up space again, to be seen again, to be fully here. If this point resonated with you, leave a comment with number 4 below. I'd be honored to know it spoke to you. And remember, you're not the same person you were at 40 or 60, and that's not a loss. That's a testament to the life you've lived. Your clothing should move with you, not hold you still. If you found a piece of yourself in this series, please subscribe and click the bell to stay connected. More reflections are coming, gentle reminders that aging isn't about fading, it's about unfolding. Number 5. Mismatched or loud colors. When clothing speaks louder than you meant it to, color holds power. It can brighten your face, lift your spirit, and bring quiet warmth to the people around you. But when colors are mismatched, overly loud, or clash in ways that feel chaotic, they don't just distract, they overwhelm. And they often say something you never intended. In our younger years, many of us played with bold color choices, neon greens, electric pinks, wild prints that felt exciting, even a little rebellious. And that's perfectly fine. That was a different season of life. But as we grow older, something changes. Harmony begins to matter more than shock. Balance becomes more powerful than boldness. Picture this, Frank and Samuel, both 80, meeting for their weekly coffee. Frank wears a soft navy cardigan, a pale blue shirt, and beige trousers. Simple. Nothing showy. But together the colors speak, quietly, kindly, with grace. Samuel walks in wearing a bright orange sweater, lime green pants, and a red cap. People turn their heads, not in admiration, but in confusion. It's not the brightness that's the problem, it's the noise. It feels loud but unclear, visible but not seen. At this age, you don't need to chase attention. Your presence alone carries weight. And when your clothing is in harmony, it amplifies that presence. Loud or clashing colors can send the wrong message, one that says, "Look at me," instead of, "I'm at peace with who I am." And you've earned the right to be seen clearly, not through a blur of colors that fight each other for space. That doesn't mean you should dress in head-to-toe gray. Far from it. It means choosing colors that work with your natural tone. Rich earth hues, soft creams, muted blues and grays, forest green, burgundy. These colors don't just sit quietly, they support you. They let your expression, your warmth, your experience take center stage. Start by noticing, which pieces in your closet do you always feel good in? There's a reason. Maybe it's how that color brings light to your eyes. Maybe it softens your skin tone. Maybe it just feels like you. Let those pieces be your guide. Build around them. Because one well-chosen color can anchor an entire look. And when in doubt, simplify. Simplicity never embarrasses you. But clashing colors? They can make you seem out of step with the deep, composed person you've become. At this point in life, you've earned something rare, the right to walk in sync with your inner self. Let your wardrobe reflect that rhythm. Not with noise, but with calm assurance. Number 6. See-through fabrics or visible undergarments. When what's meant to be private becomes the message. There's a quiet line between dressing comfortably and dressing carelessly. And that line is often crossed the moment something meant to stay hidden becomes visible. Whether it's a blouse that turns sheer in daylight, trousers that reveal undergarments when you sit, or a fabric that clings where it shouldn't, These are more than simple wardrobe mistakes. In our later years, they can unintentionally speak louder than we intend. Picture two women, Darlene and Rose, both in their early 80s, attending a casual Sunday brunch. Darlene wears a soft cream blouse layered over a light tank, elegant, effortless, and quietly composed. Rose, on the other hand, chooses a pastel shirt that seems modest indoors but turns see-through outdoors, revealing the outline of her bra. She didn't plan it, but everyone noticed. And though no one says anything, the impression is already made. These kinds of slips don't just affect how others see us, they shift how we carry ourselves. But here's the thing, it's not about dressing like a nun. It's about being aware. Take a moment before stepping out. Check your outfit in natural light. Sit, bend, move, observe what shifts. Choose undergarments that blend with your skin, not your shirt. Add a light layer when needed. These thoughtful choices don't stifle your style, they protect your presence. They keep the focus where it belongs, on you, your voice, your stories, your grace. Because dignity doesn't require performance. It simply asks for mindfulness. If this point made you pause, if you've ever stepped outside and felt uncertain about how your clothing moves or reveals, this is your gentle reminder. You're not alone, and it's not too late to adjust. Comment number 6 below to let me know you're still here, still listening, still growing. And take a moment tomorrow morning to check your outfit in the light. Not to chase perfection, but to honor your presence. Because dignity lives in the details. If you found insight or comfort in this series, I warmly invite you to subscribe and tap the bell, so we can continue exploring together what it means to age with self-respect, grace, and gentle strength. Let's keep walking forward, thoughtfully, one choice at a time. Number 7. Juvenile graphics or prints. When clothing forgets your wisdom. There's something quietly unsettling about seeing a person in their 70s wearing a shirt meant for someone still figuring out who they are. Cartoon characters. Silly slogans. Trendy graphics pulled straight from the racks of a teenage aisle. It's not that humor or playfulness has an expiration date, it absolutely doesn't. Joy belongs to every age. But the way we express that joy, it matters. Because at this stage in life, your clothing should match the depth of all you've lived through. It should reflect your humor, yes, but also your grace, your wisdom, your calm. Let's look at two women, Martha and Barbara, both 78. Martha walks into a weekend gathering in a blouse of soft, earthy tones. A delicate, timeless pattern brings out the warmth in her face. Barbara? She arrives wearing a t-shirt printed with a dancing taco and the words, "Let's salsa." Now Barbara is lovely. She has a great sense of humor. But the room doesn't chuckle. They pause. Because it's not whimsical, it's jarring. The message on her shirt feels disconnected from the quiet dignity of the woman wearing it. When we wear prints meant for teenagers, the world doesn't see us as young. It sees us as unsure. It doesn't say, "I'm youthful." It says, "I've lost sight of what suits me now." And that's not the impression you deserve. By the time we reach our 70s, we've earned the right to be taken seriously, without being somber. To be joyful without being silly. To be light, without looking like we're trying to hide behind humor. Because that's what juvenile prints can sometimes do. They blur the message. They invite confusion instead of connection. They can take a rich conversation and turn it into an awkward glance. It's not about being uptight. It's about being intentional. That t-shirt might have made you smile at home. But out in the world, it often sends the wrong signal. And when people don't engage with you the way they once did, it's worth asking. Is my clothing speaking in a voice that isn't mine? You've lived through decades of change, growth, and meaning. Don't let a cartoon character do the talking. Instead, choose patterns that speak softly. A subtle floral. A timeless stripe. A gentle neutral with texture and presence. These don't shout. They don't beg for attention. They invite it, quietly, confidently. Because at the end of the day, dignity doesn't need to be performed. It simply needs to show up as itself. Calm, present, beautiful in its simplicity. Number 8. Excessive logos or branding. When clothing shouts louder than you do. There's a quiet kind of wisdom that comes with age. It tells us that less is often more, that substance outshines flash, and that dignity never needs to be loud. But you wouldn't know that by looking at some of today's clothing. Oversized logos, loud slogans, and brand names plastered across the chest or down the sleeves might seem harmless, just a fashion choice. But in truth, they can send a message that feels out of touch, even a little desperate. When we were younger, logos had a kind of power. Wearing that popular brand was about status, being seen, fitting in. But now, your lived experience, your character, and your calm presence speak volumes, far more than any designer label ever could. Let me give you an image. Leonard and Gary, two friends in their late 70s, are heading to a casual afternoon gathering. Leonard wears a soft, earth-tone pullover, no branding, no fuss, just a clean, flattering fit that lets him shine. Gary, on the other hand, shows up in a bright hoodie, splashed with logos and slogans from top to bottom. Now, Gary has good taste. That's not the issue. The issue is that his clothing is doing all the talking, and it's shouting over him. Instead of looking sharp or current, the effect is often the opposite. It can come across as someone clinging to youth, trying too hard to stay relevant through branding, rather than allowing his wisdom and presence to lead the way. And that's a shame, because there's so much more to Gary than his hoodie is letting on. Let's be clear, logos aren't evil. A small, tasteful mark on a well-made garment is perfectly fine. But when branding dominates an outfit, it turns you into a walking advertisement, and often not for the things that truly matter. Honestly, no one over 70 needs to be a billboard for a sneaker company or a soda brand. At this stage of life, you've earned the right to let yourself be the focal point, not a corporation's logo. Clothes with bold branding can come off as juvenile, and that creates a strange tension. Instead of showing quiet confidence, it can feel like you're borrowing it from a label. But there's a quiet kind of strength and understatement. A soft navy sweater, a gently patterned button-down, a well-fitted jacket in a classic cut. These speak volumes. They say, I know who I am. They say, I don't need noise to be seen. Because here's what we know deep down, value doesn't come from what's printed on our clothing. It comes from what we carry in our voice, in our kindness, in the stories etched in our memory. So next time your hand reaches for something loud and branded, pause. Ask yourself, is this piece reflecting me or replacing me? Is it boosting my style or someone else's bottom line? Because the most attractive thing you can ever wear is self-respect. If this message speaks to you, if you've ever looked in the mirror and thought, I want to show the world the real me without shouting, then this journey is for you. Comment number 8 below if this point resonated with you. I'd love to know you're still with me, and I always enjoy reading your reflections. And if you haven't already, I invite you to subscribe and turn on notifications. That way you won't miss the next chapters in this gentle exploration of living and dressing with dignity, confidence, and quiet pride. Your presence here matters. Your support allows us to keep creating thoughtful, respectful content, tailored for those of us who know that aging is not about fading, but about refining. Let's move on to the next insight together. Number 9. Outdated accessories, when the details whisper yesterday. There's a subtle way that time shows up on us, not just in our faces or our posture, but in the little things we wear without even thinking. That cracked leather belt you've had for decades. The glasses frame that hasn't changed since you danced through the 80s. The handbag with patches holding on for dear life. They may feel familiar. They may even carry stories. But too often they quietly say something you don't mean to say. I've stopped noticing. Let's take Norma and Alice, both 74, both heading out for a casual coffee with friends. Norma carries a soft, well-kept leather handbag. Nothing flashy, just timeless and cared for. Alice? She shows up with an old canvas tote, faded and fraying, printed with cartoon characters from a different era. Maybe Alice feels attached to it. Maybe she simply hasn't thought to replace it. But to those around her, that bag doesn't look charming. It looks forgotten. Here's the truth, accessories speak. And in later life they tend to speak louder, because the rest of us has quieted down in a way that's graceful. So when something feels off, an old, clunky watch, an outdated hat, a pair of worn glasses, it interrupts the harmony of your presence. Even if others can't put their finger on it, they feel it. And it can subtly shift how they respond to you. Worse, it can shift how you feel about yourself. You don't have to throw out everything old. Not at all. But it's worth asking, does this still reflect who I am now? Because holding on to an accessory from 20 years ago isn't necessarily sentiment. It might be inertia. And inertia doesn't help you grow. Start gently. Replace one thing. Update your reading glasses to a frame that flatters your face today, not the one you had decades ago. Swap out that cracking belt for one in a rich, neutral tone. Find a handbag that feels solid, simple, and intentional, not loud, just lived in. And when you do, something remarkable happens. You feel lighter. You feel fresher. You feel seen. Because growing older isn't about staying stuck. It's about staying sharp. And sometimes the sharpest change you can make is as small as the item resting on your wrist or slung across your shoulder. Final thoughts. Reclaiming your reflection one choice at a time. None of what we've talked about today is permanent. They're just habits, patterns we may have fallen into without even noticing. And the good news? Habits can change. Whether it's letting go of mismatched colors, swapping worn shoes, retiring outdated accessories, or choosing fabrics that flatter your frame, each small shift is a quiet act of reclaiming your confidence, your pride, your presence. This journey has never been about vanity. It's always been about self-respect. And self-respect doesn't end with age, it deepens. Because no matter how many candles are on the cake, you still deserve to feel proud of the person you see in the mirror. And sometimes, it all begins with what you put on in the morning. If something today made you pause or reflect, I'd love to hear from you. Comment below with final thoughts, and share what resonated most. If you found comfort, clarity, or encouragement in this series, please subscribe and turn on notifications so you don't miss future content crafted with care, just for you. Thank you for spending this time with me. You're not invisible. You're not fading. You're simply stepping into a quieter, wiser kind of presence. And that's something the world still needs to see.